the Hawks have confirmed that 4 dockets of high treason have been opened following accusations of the spread of misleading information in the United States on South Africa's Expropriation Act. The uMkhonto weSizwe party and other parties or individuals are said to have registered the complaints following allegations that US President Donald Trump was misled about the land issue. This led to Trump attacking South Africa, accusing it of human rights abuses against Afrikaners. Let's now hear from civil society, and we're joined by Public Interest SA CEO Tebogo Khaas. Tebogo, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. You've previously described this situation as based on outright lies and racist propaganda. Do you still hold the same view?
Essentially so, even more so now, I believe it is just propaganda, just basically people who are still hacking on the past and wanting to relive the past apartheid era. And they're using the fact that this new administration of Donald Trump seems to be more sympathetic to their campaign of trying to get their way using force and or coercion, which fits in nicely with my elementary reading of the criminal definition of treason. And
we know that we heard the Hawks head general, Godfrey Lebeya, revealing that there are 4 dockets opened by different people, maybe different political parties. What is your reaction to the more dockets being probed by the Hawks at this stage?
Yeah, I don't think the number of dockets matter, whether it's 1 or 4 or however the number might turn out to be in the end. What is more important is whether the charge itself can actually be preferred. Yeah. In other words, does it meet the legal definition of common law of treason, which in this instance, and I must hazard a caution that I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not speaking as a lawyer, but just as a commentator. You know, it hinges a lot more on part of the definition, which, if I may read, states that overthrowing the government through violating, threatening, or endangering the existence, independence, or security of the republic. So you can define the word security very widely, because it could also talk about physical security of the state or of the country, the sovereign, or it could also be economic security, which I think it might actually be interpreted if you take into account the consequences that may befall us if indeed AfriForum has to have this way, because Trump has already threatened, or the Trump administration has already threatened economic sanctions, as well as removing us from preferential trade agreements that currently are in place. So that certainly does threaten the sovereignty as well as the economic security of the state.
And what is your reaction to the ripple effect? Yes.
Yes, sorry, before I respond to that, and you can imagine once there's economic instability, that could be a precursor to any violent protest or potential overthrow of the government. And it doesn't matter whether it's the government of national unity or the government of the ANC or the government of whoever party is in power. So that certainly is. And the ripple effect are very dire, because as they themselves, AfriForum, has now realized, actually it will affect everybody, and more so the very people, amongst others, that they claim to represent, that is the Afrikaner farmers, because they don't talk about farmers in general. In other words, that definition of the word farmer does not include blacks. It includes white Afrikaner or white farmers. And in that instance, it is also very interesting or telling that most farmers actually have disavowed their call for any action to be taken against the country, because they don't believe in the kind of propaganda which is predicated on lies by the AfriForum, which they've placed before the US Congress and some of the leaders there. And it is going to have a very, the ripple effect will also be felt about the stability in governance, because it depends on how other parties may react. But so far, we are heartened by the fact that the likes of MK Party and others have taken a staunch pushback against AfriForum efforts, and we welcome the use or the approach of the rule of law, which the likes of MK Party have taken by approaching the courts.
Yeah. As you and I speak, the Hawks have warned that they're still at the initial stage of the investigation of the crimes, and they also will need to be very careful on how they will collect this evidence. How would you like to see the Hawks carrying out these investigations?
Yeah, Paul, that's very crucial. I think, right, that I also picked up when Hawks General Lebeya was being interviewed by yourselves, in that their Hawks and the NPA have to tread very carefully, because although it might very well be there might be an angle to use insofar as the charge of treason as defined by the statutes, you don't want another comeback. Already the NPA has got Nulani, a case that was thrown back and excoriated by the judges in that matter, at the Bloemfontein Higher Court, which they mishandled. And secondly, we also had the Koko matter being thrown back to the NPA, and there's a host of other tailing cases. And remember now, this one, unlike the Nulani matter, as well as the Koko Machela matter, this will be beamed internationally. It might be that it's one of the first cases, if not the first case, that you'd have the likes of CNN, BBC, even covering it live, because there'll be an international audience interested in the outcome of this matter. So General Lebeya is quite well advised to tread very carefully and not rush into presenting a docket to the NPA until such time that they are satisfied that this will stand muster before the courts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for weighing in on this discussion and giving us your perspective there. Speaking to Public Interest SA CEO Tebogo Khaas, weighing in on the Hawks confirming those 4 dockets of high treason being opened following those accusations.